It's been 1 year since NVIDIA unveiled the RTX series of cards last year here in Köln, Germany, where Gamescom is taking place. This is day one of Gamescom. I'm here with Alex.
Hey, John.
We've been covering the show, and I think the first thing we saw that we're going to talk about today is, in fact, more ray tracing demonstrations from NVIDIA. And, you know, we're sitting nice and tight in here. You know, that's the thing about these road shows. You got to find the places to film. So hopefully we can, you know, talk about some nice ray tracing in this nice, cool place. Yeah,
cozy.
So I guess, first of all, there was this event held somewhere near the Mesa
not too far.
that NVIDIA had, and this is, you know, they had a bunch of new games coming out with ray tracing enabled, and for some of them we were able to capture them.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about those today, as well as mention a few others that we weren't able to capture, sort of discuss, you know, the state of ray tracing
as it is.
as it is right now.
Yeah.
So Alex, where should we start?
I mean, technically we'll talk just a tiny bit about it, but we did, obviously, one of the first things we saw was Minecraft as well. I mean, we already have a video out on this right now, but that's important to get out of the way. That's where we spent a lot of our time talking with the developers about how it works, and that kind of inflected, I would say, the rest of the titles we saw, because that was so wholly impressive, and it's such a total usage of ray tracing.
Exactly,
hardware.
It's the full use. Every aspect is handled by this.
And the other games that we saw used it to lesser degrees, some more than others. The one that I'll be covering very soon in a video, in this upcoming, I guess in the week thereafter, will be Control, and its PC version that uses ray tracing features for a variety of things. You know,
yes, that's right. You have reflections, global illumination.
Yeah, transparency reflections, contact shadows, and a debris option, which allows certain things to be reflected, debris in the game. And we sat down with Tatu Alto, I think is his name, and a variety of other developers that were responsible for the ray tracing or the general Northlight engine, and just kind of picked their brains about what they thought about ray tracing, how the integration was, what it was like getting this to run on consoles, and that'll all be built into the work when we cover Control in full.
So what did we see then that's new? I guess for me, though, the first demo that I played that we captured here is Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So the new Call of Duty game from Infinity Ward. We did a preview about this recently where we were all on camera at the same time. This was the first time I've seen it in person with ray tracing enabled. But the implementation isn't super robust in the sense compared to some of the other things like Minecraft. Instead, it's specifically in this demo, is focused almost entirely on shadows.
Shadow
ray
work.
traced shadows.
So
what I saw in the demo, what you hear in the footage, actually the first part of the demo, they let us do a ceasefire so that we could actually just sort of appreciate it. And it's most noticeable on things like small objects, such as shell casings, pieces of debris. Other small objects have very natural, very defined shadows that do vary based on the intensity of the light, as you'd expect in real life as well. And it looks really good.
Yeah, these are things where usually a shadow map is not high enough resolution to capture the detail of. And it may also be really silly for draw call reasons to have them be included. But, you know, there's similar constraints under ray tracing, but it can capture small detail to the per pixel level, which is what makes ray tracing good. But, you know, we've talked about it before. Shadows are great, but they're not like the most interesting area always of ray tracing, especially in a game like Call of Duty.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to already, I mean, the combination of, say, shadow maps, and we've seen like screen space shadows combined with that. Shadows are kind of one of those settings where I'm willing to turn them down to improve performance. Definitely important, but I think they become more noticeable when they're implemented in a more wholesome, along with GI and other elements as well.
I think the area in the game where we'll see them, I really like the tiny little details that it'll do. It'll probably add tons of tiny little details, especially for the single player. John, you saw it, a multiplayer, unfortunately.
Yeah, they just showed a multiplayer map, whereas I think like the jungle-based single-player levels where you have like spotlights everywhere and like, you know, the leaves and the grass and everything on the ground. All those blades of grass, maybe. Well, hopefully. Actually, I didn't get a chance to ask that because there was nobody there that actually
was responsible for the
implementation. But theoretically, that actually could look really impressive. And they did show us a short video that did show a little bit more campaign-looking footage rather than just multiplayer, because the multiplayer map is just this arena, and it was 2v2, very fast. I got a few kills here and there, but man, it's brutal when you're not. I don't normally play it. I mean, I definitely prefer more Halo-style multiplayer.
Yeah, a little bit more time.
Or even, like, go back to Unreal Tournament. Call of Duty is so fast in the sense that if it's basically about who sees the other person first and just instant death.
Especially with a mouse, my goodness.
And that, it works. Some people love it.
Yeah.
It's cool. It was a fun game mode, and could probably get into it for a while. But again, not necessarily the best demonstration of ray tracing.
I mean, the one area where I think you'll maybe see it most readily in this footage beyond the small details is if there is a section where there's a larger kind of area light sized thing, and it'll have extreme fall off in the shadow. It won't just be extremely crisp, but it'll start out really dark and then fade away gradually.
Exactly.
And that's something that's really hard to capture with shadow maps.
Exactly.
And I think that's when we get the
game.
game.
There's ways to fake it that we've seen, and there's other implementations out there designed to do that. But to get
it actually looking right, and I'm presuming this is going to be a very performant implementation from what we've heard.
Yes, exactly. And this was running very fast.
Yeah, very fast. So. I mean, it was probably a 1440p G-Sync monitor.
Yeah.
RTX 2080 Ti, by the way. So all these demos were done on extreme stations,
exactly.
RTX
so
2080 Ti.
There is the question of how's this going to work on like a 2070.
Yeah, I mean, so maybe we'll see 1080p or 1440p performance there.
Then so that's Call of Duty. What demo did you see while I was doing that?
I believe that was originally in the first starting phase. I was so excited after talking with Remedy that I immediately went over to the Metro section, and instead of spending the 30 minutes I was there, I spent an hour talking with Ben Archard, who I also interviewed last year when I was at Gamescom, and then also sent off interview questions to for my coverage of Metro Exodus.
Unfortunately, we don't have any capture of this.
Unfortunately, we don't have any capture of this.
I assume that when this hits, you'll be doing a very comprehensive video.
Yeah. Basically, to get that out, they've increased the way GI works, where it's not just from the sun or the moon and the sky, but also from any individual aerial light in the game. So now every light can technically contribute to GI in a very specific way. And they showed it off in a demo with a flamethrower, where you can see all the flames casting this light across the room, and also indirect shadows from them. It's beautiful.
That's
looking.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm eager to see this, actually. I didn't really get a chance to check out the demo.
Yeah, and I just talked with them about future plans for the engine, the future, and they're excited for it.
Cool. I think for me then, the next thing I checked out, and again, no capture, was Watchdogs Legion.
Yeah,
they kind of went for a shotgun approach with one thing, specifically reflections.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, so it looks kind of neat, but at the same time, it's mostly very glossy reflections applied to. There's no transparency reflections.
I think there is.
Was there?
Yeah,
actually, you're right. There's transparency reflections, but there's no lower reflective materials don't.
Yeah, don't have the reflections.
There's like a cutoff.
There's a cutoff, and we'll be looking at the trailer here. You'll see with the RTX turned off, you'll see SSR applied to the streets, and you'll see it in puddles, and then also a lower, kind of more diffuse looking SSR effect on the pavement itself. That's like reflective, but not wholly reflective. It's very diffuse reflection. Their RTX, their RT implementation for reflections only really applies to the ultra reflective things, and they turn off SSR for those less reflective materials. So that means you get all these new reflections, of course, and they're really good looking, but they're also only the sharp ones. So for all those other reflections that would have been covered by SSR, it just falls back now onto what looks like. So it could be a cube map. I don't know.
It seems to be some sort of cube map or something like that. There is an underlying reflective fallback map that they're using beneath it, and sometimes it's odd because you can actually sort of see. You can actually see that. Like, we'll just say it's the cube map. But then, so it's reflecting like a piece of building that's very low res. But then you'll see the RT reflection, which is the same object, but it's not correctly centered. So you actually see like two separate reflections sort of split apart. But again, it's the game is not done.
The game is not done.
It still has some months to go.
What I would hope is that they take a Battlefield 5-like approach, where that is maybe the low reflection setting, and Battlefield 5 did, for its low reflection setting, limit it to very reflective surfaces, and then overlaid SSR on top of that to cover off.
That's right.
Other things.
I think that's a good solution.
And I think what they should do for a higher setting is allow RT reflections to apply to basically, very rough materials as well. So you should never turn on RT and have a slightly worse image.
There does seem to be there was something going on. Like if you looked at the bricks and stone on the buildings, there was a change, but it wasn't. It's very strange. We still need to look into that. Although I will say it's, being a city, it was a wet city.
It was super wet.
There's a lot of shop windows and buildings with like large panes of glass. There's very shiny cars everywhere. And those do look good. Like
so, Watchdogs, the first game, was criticized. I remember when it came out, everyone's like, downgrade, obviously, and we talked a lot about it back then at DF. But everyone would go up to like a shop window and be like, how can they not get reflections right in the year 2014?
Yeah.
Now you can. Now you. I mean, you.
On the other hand, though, it doesn't reflect particles.
Yes, we noticed that.
So things like explosions and other smoke plumes, none of that stuff is in the reflection. So again, it's a neat implementation, but not as robust as it could be.
Yeah, Battlefield 5, did cover alpha particles and stuff like that, but they had to do it in a really tricky way. If you read their presentation on it, it's really interesting.
Okay, so what was next for you?
There I saw Vampire: The Masquerade Bloodlines 2, obviously the successor to the cult hit.
Very exciting.
Everyone loves.
One of my favorite games from that era.
I mean, you release on the same day as Half-Life 2. You're not going to be a very popular game using the same engine oddly
of
enough.
Course.
But this is the sequel utilizing in-house technology, as I understand it, focusing from the get-go. Unlike every other game we've seen here, their design document, I'm pretty sure, actually includes the usage of ray tracing.
And I didn't get to see a chance to see this at all, so this is... I have no idea what this looks like.
This is, they're using it at least for the demo that we've seen right now. They could obviously implement more or detract from it in the future because it's a work in progress. Right. It was restricted to reflections of all types, transparency reflections, and their, at least their, unlike Watchdogs Legion, it applied to a variety of types of reflectivity. So it wasn't just the ultra sharp reflections, but it was diffuse ones as well, more diffuse ones. So it looked, you would see like a teapot made of ceramics, and it would still reflect in a way that you expected. And they really were interested in using it because it takes place in Seattle in a kind of noir, nighttime environment.
Right.
And like any city, it'll have tons of glass, it'll have tons of neon lights.
But then it can also have like lots of stone, lots of wood, and materials that aren't as reflective. And like there's a table right here in front of us right now, and you can actually see the spotlight we're using. There's a nice like specular reflection on there, and like that's the kind of stuff that
it'll cover those kind of things.
So they're really trying to simulate this across all material types.
And I think because they're building it into their design document, I would not be surprised if this is one of the first games where we'll see kind of a slight gameplay enhancement from it, because we know vampires and how they work with mirrors and a variety of things. But so I would not be surprised if that somehow is added into the game.
That's interesting.
I'm really saddened that we couldn't get footage of it in the traditional sense. But I loved the way it was looking already, and I imagine it's going to look even better when it comes out.
Okay, so then the next thing I saw, which we do have capture of, so this is a game that's already out. This is the new Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Yeah.
We've both covered this game, I think.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
And the RT implementation here then is, again, reflections.
Yeah, and also covering transparency reflections, but it was hard to find them in our demo itself.
Yeah.
But they had a trailer showing where you could definitely see them.
We were looking for transparency reflections. We didn't see them, and then you turned around and there was the trailer, like, oh, there they are.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so it is in there.
They weren't in the demo that we saw, but you could see them in the trailer that they released. And
so the demo we saw, though, it was relatively limited, so there actually aren't that many reflective materials in there.
No.
So they did kind of stick us in sort of like an underground area you'll see here. And you can see, the surroundings reflecting it. But this is a very robust game visually, and they kind of use RTX as a very much an additive thing. It's not designed to like be in your face.
No.
It just enhances the look versus the SSR that they already are using.
And I think id Tech already had a pretty confident SSR.
It does.
I don't think it included things like glossy stretching and things like that, but it still was pretty good.
Although there was that display monitor in the control room,
that's a very
where it sort of warped.
There was in this display room where you could go walk up to it with your character model and see like the warped reflection from it.
Exactly.
And I made a point about this in my video talking about the game, but the game does actually use, a merged first and third person rig so you can see your character model perfectly in it.
And it translates to what the other another character would see if
would
you were
see as
playing
well.
in co-op. So
yeah, and this game is all co-op. But you know, it was still work in progress. There was a bug that you could see.
I love this bug.
I don't know what was causing it, but it looked like more forward shaded materials.
Yep.
Or basically things like skin or the face
Yep.
and the hair were all white in their reflection.
So it looked like a mannequin head.
It looked like a mannequin
With
head
nothing
in their
on it.
reflection. So you may be seeing that here. But you know, other than that, I think the funny thing is about this game is I always thought it had perfect artwork for
Yes.
something like this. Like this whole, obviously this, you know, alternative history setting has a lot of metals in it because that's
does.
the way, you know, like the Nazis built things with all these metals. And I thought it would be really good for it, but the demo they showed us, other than this underground area,
It's very subdued.
it was all Paris, you know, Parisian streets, very subdued. Other than that, we could find it on wood here or there.
Yeah, there was a room in this apartment up here with exactly, like the wood floorboards. You can see it there, and on a few other objects, I think, scattered around the room. But in general, it was very subtle.
Yeah.
But you know, it contributed to the overall image. So this is not the kind of game you show to blow people away with ray tracing. I mean, that's still like Minecraft or something.
Yeah, it's Minecraft.
Or
it's
even
your
Control,
Metros.
honestly.
I mean, I'll be talking about Control.
But you'll be talking about soon. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's really a robust implementation.
That's super robust. But for Wolf, I was happy to see it, but I would love to have seen a different level. You know, one that had a lot more of these metallic materials to just see what it's doing. Yeah.
So, was there anything else that we saw? I feel like that's about it.
That was really about it. It was mainly kind of the atmosphere and talking with the devs and you know, picking their minds. There were a good couple there.
Yeah.
In terms of RT, as it is right now in games, you know, RTX has been out for basically a little bit less than a year right now.
Less than a year, and it's this is true. I mean, even seeing the showcase, there was a lot of neat titles, but I still want to see more. But it does sound like, talking to some of the NVIDIA guys, like they really are looking at doing beyond like new games. They are focusing also on going back to games like Quake 2 and Minecraft. So it sounds like they have more of that stuff in the works.
That's what it sounds like too.
Which is really exciting to me. I'm trying to convince them to do Turok. go to Night Dive and say we need ray tracing.
Yeah.
And Turok.
And they have like a hold of, you know, talking with Alex Dunn about it, you know, they have a lot of people working on ray tracing. They view it as a full-term commitment for the company going forward, and
it you know, that's the natural conclusion. I mean, that's where we need to go with 3D rendering.
Yeah.
But again, it is still, admittedly, this is the GeForce 3.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at. When programmable shaders were really introduced, it was early. It was still a little slow. This stuff is actually running pretty well compared to what a GeForce 3 was doing back then.
A lot worse.
It was much slower.
Yeah.
But this is where we are going. I mean, this is the future.
Yeah.
So we are looking at the future, and in fact, I think what we're seeing here, I don't think next generation consoles are going to get here. We don't know for sure.
We don't know for sure.
Some ray tracing is likely. They've said as much, but we just don't know how capable. Like, are they going to have anything as capable as an RT core? I say no.
I don't think so either. It could be more programmable. So maybe we'll see something that is, lower end RT effects.
Right, the RT core is basically a black box.
Yeah, it is 100%.
I asked a couple questions about using the tensor core for denoising, and it just doesn't seem like there's been a lot of work done on this.
No.
We asked the Control guys, talked to the Minecraft guys, a few others, and it's just something that's not really being attempted, and that is a little puzzling. Like, DLSS is one thing, but I think the better use of that would actually use the extra power from the tensor core to further improve and speed up the denoising process.
I would like to see that too, but as we were kind of told, denoise, like neural networks and their usage in real time is very much so underdeveloped. And the thing that we heard is that this may be a possibility, but it's too much of a research time. You have to spend all this time researching.
I think NVIDIA needs to step in and do something there to really make it more viable for developers to use, because exactly the time needed to invest in this, it's just not there right now.
Yeah, there needs to be first best practices developed to utilize something like the tensor core for denoising, if it is possible, obviously.
Right.
And then have that available as an API for developers to use. And now that DirectX supports, or at least through DirectML supports machine learning.
That's right.
Maybe it'll become more possible in the future. But once again, right now, as I would see it, RT games are coming out, and we're finally seeing them, a lot more of them, and developers seem to really like the usage. Some are a lot better than the others. I hope Watchdogs Legion considers my proposal. adding more options in there for ray tracing.
I'm sure they love our feedback.
Yeah, I think like I said, the reflections look great, but there's some things that could be done.
That's true.
And the rest, though, all looked really, really good.
Yeah. And
really
I think
good
that's pretty much it. I mean, that's the state of ray tracing as we see it for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Hopefully, there's even more on the way.
Definitely.
But for now, it's still very interesting to both of us, especially Alex, who's just like flipping out left and right over this, and that's awesome because it's really cool stuff. It's something to be excited about. This is like the old days in a way. So when new graphics cards were hitting all the time, new features were showing up. I mean, when the G400 with environmental bump mapping and expendable showed up, amazing. And then I found out that guy actually works for NVIDIA now, and it's like talking about the Matrix G400 and that. It's like it was a simple feature implemented in a crazy way, but it looked amazing. And those are fun, and that's kind of what ray tracing is to me. But I think it's probably enough for now. What do you say?
Yeah, I think that's enough. Right now, basically, really good looking games that we saw there. We'll be talking a lot about them more specifically in the future when we have footage or access to the games themselves.
All right, well, that'll do it for now. So thanks for joining me, Alex, here on this lovely couch.
On this cozy couch.
This very cozy couch. And if you enjoyed this cozy couch session discussing ray tracing, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, and follow us on Twitter. And until next time, this is John and Alex signing off.
Auf Wiedersehen?
Yes.